What keeps you awake? What keeps you awake to your heart, to the lives of your neighbors, to the holy presence that shines through everything? What helps you stay spiritually aware and alive? Thomas Merton said, the whole thing comes down to giving ourselves a chance to realize that we have what we seek. The whole thing comes down to giving ourselves in prayer a chance to realize that we have what we seek. We don't have to rush after it. It was there all the time, and if we give it time, it will make itself known to us. For Thomas Merton, contemplative prayer, a Christian form of meditation, was the key to staying awake. What keeps you awake? For me, there are several things. Writing sermons helps keep me awake. And I don't just mean late on Saturday night, although it often does that also. The weekly cycle of preparing for worship, studying the scriptures, reflecting on them, and attempting to write something in response to them regularly awakens me to the state of my heart and the sacred nature of life. It's a great gift of ministry for me. A big part of the reason I went into the ministry in the first place is that I knew I was too undisciplined to be a Christian unless it were my job. It's really sad but true. I wasn't disciplined enough to maintain a deep spiritual life on my own. I had to make it my daily, weekly job. So thank you for helping to keep me awake, at least some of the time. Certain kinds of prayer help me keep awake too, along with reading poetry and experience of beauty through music or art. When I take the time to start my day with even a few minutes of prayer, silent, spoken, or written, when I take time during the day to pause to read poetry or prayers or scripture or anything that stirs my heart, it keeps me awake to the spiritual dimension of my life. It allows me to see beyond my own struggles and longing into the struggles and longing of others. It helps me to recognize Christ in others, even within myself. The same is true when we worship together each week, which is why I'm so thankful when you show up each week. In our singing and praying, in our fellowship and reflection together, my awareness of God and of Christ's love alive in our midst is reawakened. For many of us, the spiritual practice of service, serving a meal to those struggling with homelessness, delivering emergency food to a family in need, taking a casserole to a grieving family, participating in a river cleanup, or even sweeping the sidewalk in front of the church on a Sunday morning, are practices that awaken us to the realities of our neighbors' lives and the needs of our world. For some of us, plotting peace and social justice with others at a Justice Knox assembly or an interfaith worker justice meeting has a similar effect. In the spiritual practice of seeking justice, in the passion and commitment of those who gather for such a purpose, we awaken again to God's dream for the world, and our hearts are stirred to new life. Walking keeps me awake too. That's one of my main practices, really. I love to walk, especially out in nature, and hiking almost always wakes me up. When my senses grow dull and my mind is preoccupied with anxiety, I know I need to head to the mountains. A few weeks ago, up in the Smokies, a large black bear came crashing through the brush and down across the Boat Mountain Trail just ahead of me. That definitely woke me. But that kind of heart-pounding terror is not exactly what we're after. Hiking in the mountains, for me, clears my vision, inward and outward. It opens my heart to the holiness of life and to God's presence around and within us all the time. This time of year, in the beauty of autumn, it's a little easier for us to see it. On that hike the other day, the mountains were on fire with God. God in the burning leaves. God hovering in the mist. God just around the bend in the path ahead. And God alive in me as I walked. It's like Thomas Merton once said, we're living in a world that is absolutely transparent. God is shining through it all the time. The only thing is that we don't see it. We just don't see it.